Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. So, welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Sally DiCesare. And I think she has a huge story to share, really. It's a journey, a path that has led her to be a pain relief specialist. So rather than reading all that, I'm just going to start our interview and just ask you, so what was this path? When did you realize that you had to deal with pain, and then how did you do it? And
Well,
well,
thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Manon. I am thrilled to be here with you, and hopefully, the people who are going to gain from your audience is going to gain something from our conversation today. That's my plan. So, yes, I started this journey to health about uh, 30 years ago now. And I'm a practicing dental hygienist, still working in the field. And I was getting to the point that I could barely move because my back was so tight. I had never done anything alternative, but I had skepticism when it came to the treatments that the doctors were prescribing for me. And so I started looking for things that could support me. And I was looking for body healing. I was hurting and I needed to have relief. So when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and friends started telling me about hearing somebody speak on something, and an interesting article would come across my email or, in the mail back then, right? And so I started opening my mind to the possibility of things other than um, the hard and fast way that traditional medicine goes. And nothing bad against that. It just wasn't for me. And it definitely has its place. So I started taking classes, and every class that I took, that I enjoyed and I got something from, I really threw myself into it to learn. And I started with craniosacral therapy, and that led into somato emotional release. I took Reiki, I took Angel Speak. I just took anything that just kind of sounded right or sounded interesting. And I love learning things. I
mhm.
wish I would have done that younger, but never too late, right? So I'm like a sponge when it comes to this. And so eventually I got a phone call from somebody who said, "Hey, I saw your credentials. I'm a physical therapist. I think that we'd be a good fit." And so that's when I started, helping people. People would come to me with chronic conditions that they were not getting satisfaction from. And that physical work kind of expanded into me looking into the energetic and the etheric field, as to stop the pain before it would even reach the body. And that's when I really found that people started to truly improve. Well, I started to truly improve. I shared it with my clients, and they did too. So it's been a long process, but
Mm.
it's been a very exciting one.
So
Yeah.
just to make sure I've understood what you're saying, it, to get to people before the pain gets into their body, or like as in they're in an emotional state, or could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, very great question. So when um think about a time when you were in a hurry, maybe you were driving somewhere. You're kind of in a little bit of a rush, so you've got a little bit of an edge to how you're feeling. And then you notice but you're going to make it okay. And then you start noticing all the traffic lights up ahead. And what happens to your body when you think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it on time to that appointment? It's a really important appointment. And just check in with your body for a second. Does it get tense anywhere?
Mhm.
And then imagine that somebody, you see your exit, so you cut across, and then you see people yelling at you and, making hand gestures and nasty faces. And then it's like, oh, but they don't know what yeah, I'm really sorry. That's not like me. And that's even more of the emotion. Then we take on the energy of the people that are throwing it at us, right? And so we're lugging this around all the time. And as practitioners or as in the health profession, we're dealing with people all the time who are coming to us in pain or they're anxious and they're kind of all balled up. And it's like when you walk into a room and you could tell there was an argument there, right? You can almost feel the tension in the room. And that's what these people bring to us. And so we're in this soup of energy. And if we're not prepared, it's going to seep into us. So
Mhm.
some of the issues that many people have are don't even really start with their issues. Their
Mhm.
beliefs they picked up or something that they've picked up from somebody else.
Mhm. But so if we go back, let's say to what you're doing as a um eh, what was it as a dental, was it
Hygienist,
hygienist? Okay, I didn't
um,
hear that.
dental nurse, maybe.
Yeah, okay, dental nurse. So you had back pain.
Oh,
One could say, oh, it's positional. I mean, because, I have sat on those chairs and seen the way the workarounds and the awkwardness of the position. Um,
mhm.
but so what would you say was the chicken or the egg in your case? Like how, yeah. And then what did you literally do when you realized, oh, I've got back pain, I got to deal with this?
Mhm. Well, I was starting to lose tactile sensitivity.
Okay.
And so I knew I had to do
You had to,
something.
yeah,
And I was the primary breadwinner of the family, so it was on me.
yeah.
And so I started searching. It was pain in my back. It was definitely attracting my attention.
Mm.
So I looked around for what would be what's and a chiropractor came across.
Mhm.
So I came to this chiropractor and it was marvelous and it worked, but I had to go back and
Mhm.
back and back and back. And I was adjusting my posture. I was being ergonomically correct while I was sitting. And it wasn't staying.
Mhm.
And that's when I started going, a friend came and said, "Oh, hey, craniosacral therapy. You're a hygienist. You can take it. You've got a license, and so you can take it. And then instead of going to a craniosacral therapist, you can get treatment in the class, and then
Mhm.
you'll have the
Yes.
knowledge, right?"
Okay.
I said, "Oh, that sounds like a good. I can buy into that." And so that was my path. It was like, so first I started with the physical pain of breaking up the knots that were in my back. And then
Mhm.
I moved into something more with the fascial release
Mhm.
or the restructuring. So I saw it as like chiropractical click things, straighten you up. But then if the muscles are pulling the wrong way,
Yeah.
right, it's going to slip it right back. So I saw those as a very complementary support tool for me. So
Mhm.
that was the physical part. And
Mhm.
then as my training went on, I got into the somato emotional release classes
Okay.
and the healing from the core classes, right? And that's when I started noticing that the pain was actually telling me stories.
Mhm.
And some people hear, some people know, you just sense things. But I became very aware that I was hearing what my body was telling me.
Interesting. I've got to say something. in this.
Please.
It's well, you probably know that I run a college called Bowen College, But it's just so perfectly fitting to what you're saying. And it's interesting because that is the journey, right? From structural to understanding that fascia is what holds Humpty Dumpty together in many ways, right? And the muscles, but also fascia has the memory, which holds the unconscious, and hence all the stories that we hold, which also makes the memory come back. So in teaching at Bowen College, we tie all that together because like you, I went to a chiropractor for I think 7 years. It helped, but it didn't last, and then and I had scoliosis, and it was painful, so I felt like I needed to continue. But it was actually through Bowen that it healed. Just a couple sessions, that was it. Like the body is so ready to heal, but it's interesting that that's the journey you had, right? It's just so parallel to what I'm clearly passionate about. So I just had to share.
Yeah. No, that's great. And we both enhance the body's ability, that innate ability, like you
Exactly.
said, if you give it what it needs, it's just thirsty to be
Yes.
supported in a way it understands. And
Yeah.
I think that's why there are so many different modalities out there.
Yes.
And you do have to try a few
Yeah, absolutely.
because we're
Yeah.
all different,
Yeah.
right? We
No,
all
absolutely. No, and I
so
think too, the way you said, instead of going to see one, I'll learn it. I mean, that's so it's very common, right? And the
yeah.
thing is, many of us are learners who are in this field, right? Because otherwise we would do surgery or remove the bone that's in the way, even though it has nothing to do with it. You know, whatever, or put cement in the spine to strengthen it, or some such. There's many studies on this, but
Ouch.
but I think it's like you're curious about how the body heals, right? So then by learning it as you heal, it's a very exciting and very a deep way of learning, right? It's like what you learned doing your path, right? It's huge because you come out um, knowing on a deep level, not just theoretically, but you've done the whole work, right? It's part of your whole journey, right? Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
exciting. Mm.
And I believe if I would have come across Bowen work, it would have been in my repertoire also.
Oh,
Um,
probably, yeah,
but
yeah. But it
I
doesn't
never,
matter.
yes, it
There's
just
many
never
ways.
came in my path. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like you said, the teacher shows up, so you know, the teacher showed up.
that's right. The right ones did. And
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed, just guiding people to realize that it's those fundamental restrictions that they've unconsciously put on themselves. And
Hmm.
that's what's holding them back. And how can working the way we work, how can they hear, understand, and move forward
Hmm.
with the way they're supposed to be?
So at this point, and how long have you practiced at this?
Over 25 years.
25 years. Okay. So
Mhm.
that's enough time to make a statement on this. What do you believe, or what combination of things do you believe about pain?
So I have learned to believe and to see that it has a purpose.
Hmm.
Our bodies have told us time and again, our situations, everything I see is a reflection of me. So if I'm starting to see a lot of tension in the world around me, I need to look at myself, and we are seeing tension in the world. I need to look at myself and find out where that is starting with me. And then I can help support myself. And then that's a ripple to those around me.
Hmm.
So that was a little, I jumped ahead. And I believe pain is a really good teacher. And I believe too many times we try to close it off or tamp it down, when all it really wants to be is like a 2-year-old child. It just wants to be heard.
Mhm.
It's having a tantrum
Mhm.
because you haven't listened, or I didn't listen for the first, while I was working for the first 10 years. And so finally, it was like, you're going to listen or else.
Mhm.
And so I started listening, and it opened a whole new world,
Mhm.
inner landscape, seeing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think now, looking back, so you had your life had a certain path, right? You saw a chiropractor, then you took craniosacral, and then you did some somatic healing. So that was the path, the trajectory that you were presented. But now
Mhm.
looking back, could you have done it in a reverse order? Could you
What
have?
would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Could you have done it for or just do somatic work first, or like, I know you can't undo what, and your path is your path, right? But
Mhm.
how much of it, of the pain after 10 years, do you really feel, I mean, if it's in the body, but how much of it needs to be touched through the body to be moved?
By that time, it had to be. However, I hear what you're saying, right? So, yes, I believe that if I would have spoken up more for myself,
Mhm.
if I would have said no to certain opportunities that came my way, and then just been open to whatever happened, I was not in that place at all. As growing up, I wasn't given the freedom to make my own decisions. So the fact I was not making my own decisions, I
Mhm.
was making the decisions that my parents would have made for me.
Right.
And, and so that is my biggest thrill, is to see people actually connecting with their own inner wisdom. And they
Mhm.
go, wow. And I wouldn't have had it any other way is so huge in healing, because
Mhm.
I wouldn't be where I am. Like you
Exactly.
said, you
Yeah, yeah.
can't
That's
be,
under, yeah.
but I can see back on looking back, yes, I could have taken a totally different trajectory. I was
Mhm.
so much in my head, and my parents were very much in my head.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I could have done it.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've been in practice 30 years. And I'm no longer in practice now, just the teaching. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I because of the circumstances uh during the COVID, where you couldn't touch and you couldn't, see each other, and you couldn't, a bunch of crazy things. Anyways, we had to do a lot of online, work. And so, which I was very mixed about, because Bowen as well, it's a physical therapy. You get your hands on people. And like you said, if they're far gone enough, I still have the absolute bias that, the hands will know, and it just feels like that's how you help. And I think that we can't underestimate the huge impact that touch actually has. So it's not to go against that, but I was surprised in my journey of how people really wanted to heal, and that bringing consciousness to what they were going through, since that's all that we could do
Mhm.
on the,
Yeah.
online. There were real turnarounds and real changes in pain, and
Oh,
I
fantastic.
yeah, I did not have that experience because, when you have something you do that works, that you love, it becomes what you do, and so again, life had it that I had to learn yet that there's more, right? There's actually something else that, I
Yeah.
probably would have noticed, but I find it, brilliant how many doors to healing are actually open for us if,
Mhm.
if we start paying attention, right?
Right. Right. And it is amazing when you're really present with your body, how easy it is to
Mm,
heal.
right.
And to hear clearly your brain, your head, your mind, your soul
Yeah.
talking to you and saying, this is the right way to go. And
Yeah.
you just notice another thing. Not only do we feel pain in our body, but we feel joy,
Yeah.
right? So follow that, right? If you feel comfortable and peaceful, that may be something to look at a little more carefully and go, okay, so why do I feel this way? It feels great, but why?
Mhm.
What am I thinking and what's happening around me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's interesting though that when I say the joy, um, I've run across this a couple times and not very often, but intense joy can also be an emotion that gets stuck in our bodies.
Mm.
And it's very fascinating. It's not like it needs to be, released. Well, it does. It needs to be loosened up so it can be shared back out.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that's how it showed up. But it's not like it's pain or anything. It may be a little bit of um, like congestion feeling.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I thought that was really fascinating to say, okay, just strong
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it makes when you say that, it makes me think. I have a visual for, and I don't even like champagne, but I see joy as the bubbles that are celebratory. So they're always coming out, and they need to
Mm,
be shared, right? And I think
yeah.
a lot of our emotions would be better shared, like consciously. I mean, as in you, I don't mean go on a rampage of anger and hate, not even to the right person. you know
Right.
as we hold things about others and blah blah blah, and then the wrong people get it. But I think, being able to be free to express, I think, is really important. And I think too, when even in educating your kids and that, there's no bad emotion. They're just going through an emotion, and just let that be and notice it. Like, uh, in healing anyways, it doesn't take that long to fully release an emotion, right? I mean, whatever, people have different timings. For me, it's about 90 seconds is what I've noticed for people. I just say, just live it, experience it. It's okay. It's like,
Really feel it.
and then it's done its journey. It doesn't need to be figured out further. It just is what it is. But amazing how much havoc it does if you're holding
Yeah.
it
If
in.
you're holding it in, that's right. And it's the tag that we put on what that emotion means, because
Exactly.
emotions in their own right are, like you said, they're just
Yeah.
an emotion.
Yeah.
But, oh, I shouldn't be angry. That's not nice to be angry. I shouldn't raise my voice. I shouldn't speak up for myself because I might hurt somebody's feelings. Shouldn't. Mm,
Mm,
no,
yeah.
I don't like that word.
Yeah. But I mean, those are all tips, to help people in pain. Is how many times do you say
Mhm.
self-negating things? How many times do you say should? how many, like if you look at your own dialogue or connection to others, and then especially to yourself, I think a lot of what needs healing is right there before it manifests into a pure physical form, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So even with what you were saying, I'm kind of backtracking a little.
Hmm.
COVID, lockdowns, everything, it was a really traumatic, horrible situation for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that that is not something, I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
However, the benefit is that we got to rest.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit is that we learn new skills. I'm like 90% online now, virtual too,
Right.
because we learned, oh, I can do this. Otherwise it might not have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and therefore we get to reach more people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's the silver lining thing comes to mind.
Yeah.
There's a silver lining to everything.
Well, and I think that's it's also an attitude, right? Not everyone would say it that way, right? But
Yeah.
but a person who's done healing typically and has gone through the process, what my cancer taught me or what my this taught me. It's like, once you can get there, you're when you can see how pain in the large term, not just physical and emotional pain, can be for your benefit. Yeah, then
And just be curious.
Exactly, curious.
You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just going to go, wow, what if I saw it from like an eagle or, a bird looking down on my life? How would a bird interpret my life or this pain in my body or this situation I'm going through? And if you can step back, then you can see things much more clearly. And again, I'm not saying horrible things don't happen to people. And sometimes it doesn't seem fair.
No.
And if we can look with neutrality, we can take some of that pain, some of that angst out of the situation.
Exactly.
What could I do differently? How could I live differently? What could I have learned if I could learn something from this? Our symphonies aren't done.
Yep, exactly.
So,
but what is almost done is our time together. So what I'd really like to
wow.
get. I know that was so fast. The 4 steps you have to get over, what did you call it? Over trauma or
Well, I'm looking at the pain of relationships, and that can be the relationship with yourself. It can be a relationship with others. It can be a relationship with your job. So when I say relationship, I'm not only thinking physical with another person. So I do have an offer. It's a freebie. It's like a series of 5 emails that you'll get, and it's at bit.ly, bit.ly /for the word for FOUR step formula, all one word, 4-step formula.
Okay.
Bit.ly.
And that's 4 steps to learning more about how to deal with your relationship to others.
Right.
Okay.
And it's going to give you 4 steps, and it's going to give you some background on how what I was talking about, how we feel actually affects the other people. They could be halfway across the world, but our energy affects other people. And so it'll give you a lot of background on that, and it'll give you the 4 steps that you'll walk through with any situation that doesn't feel good. I mean, it works like a charm. It's so simple, and yet it's so powerful. Please try it. Don't say, oh, that's never going to work. Give it a go.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sally, for spending your time with us or together. And yeah, I look forward to reading that.
Thank you very much for this. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to be able to share. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.